couple years ago, I made a pretty unhinged rant about annoying moviegoers, talking about people that talk during the movies, pull out their phones, just people being generally inconsiderate. And this topic is kind of being dredged back up because I saw a pretty unsettling amount of people on Twitter posting videos and pictures from Wicked. An insane amount of people actually just flippantly pulling their phones out, taking pictures, definitely annoying the shit out of most of the people around them. But the thing that I think is even more unsettling is how much people were defending it in the comments. Just a shocking amount of people that were defending the stuff, saying it's not a big deal, it's not that deep. Maybe it's not that deep, but it's pretty fucking annoying, I'll tell you that. I can't tell if it's just the type of moviegoer that would go to see Wicked but wouldn't go to see any other movies, but just generally very disrespectful behavior. Stuff that I just don't want to be normal in a movie theater setting. And they try to justify it. They try to say stuff like, hey, it's only for 1 second to take a picture of the title card. But it's like, what if everybody did that throughout the movie at different times? Then you have someone pulling out their phone every 2 seconds, taking pictures. It's just a general rule where I feel like you kind of just have to lay down the law and it's all or nothing. Because, yeah, if one person pulls out their phone for 2 seconds, like, you probably might not notice it. Maybe it'll catch your eye for a second and annoy you. But once everybody starts to do it, or someone does it consistently, does it throughout the whole movie, that's when it just goes way too far. Please stay home if you do shit like this. It's just like the most annoying thing ever. It's so distracting. Like, even when you have the light down, everybody can see it. The whole thing, the whole theater is meant to be dark and immersive so that you just focus and watch the movie. That's the whole point of it. But people just can't stay off their phones for like 2 hours. I mean, I don't really know why you even want to pay the theater prices to go. And some people use that logic conversely to defend it, which is so stupid. Using excuses like, oh, I paid my hard-earned money, I could do whatever I want. No, you can't. You pay your hard-earned money to act like an asshole and ruin it for everybody else. And that's the thing. The imposition is being put on people that are being considerate, not going on their phones, just watching the movie. And they're the ones getting driven to leave because they're the ones not being an asshole, but they're the ones that have the imposition put on them when the imposition should be on the people being rude, being disrespectful, not being able to control themselves. And there were some really bizarre posts, like one person saying they just had to post the entire final scene of the movie. They had to record it. I'm sure that didn't annoy anybody at all. Just like, how inconsiderate can you be? I really don't know how hard it is for people to just be normal about this. I don't know why it's so hard for them to just put the phone away, don't disrupt other people, don't be a bother, don't be a nuisance. But it really is becoming more and more prevalent. It used to feel like a thing where it was few and far between, and thankfully I haven't had that many bad experiences lately, but as a horror fan, you definitely experience it. And some people just can't fucking help themselves. And I genuinely don't know what value they find in paying that amount of money when they're just going to be on their phone the whole time. I don't know why they don't just stay home where they're not bothering anybody else. And the thing is, that is where the considerate moviegoer is starting to go. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be disrupted. They don't want to pay the money just to be annoyed the whole time. And the thing is, I feel like the people who do that, they're not going to be receptive to you telling them to cut it out. And again, going back to that whole thing, so much of it was, I don't see the big deal. What's the big deal? It's inconsiderate. That's all there is to it. Just don't do it. And I think that they're trivializing it because they're getting a lot of heat. These people, a good amount of them, they're like, I don't understand what I did wrong. It's so frustrating. Thankfully, they're getting cooked. A lot of people are getting flamed in the comments for it. That I like to see. That I'm very happy about because it's just so obnoxious. I actually think the person who posted that thing saying, oh, I just had to film the final scene, pretty sure they got bullied off the internet, which, I'm one of the few times that bullying I think is warranted. But actually, though, I just don't know why, too, that you would be proud of this. Why this is something that you would proudly post. There's like a gigantic sign at the beginning of every single movie, voiceover, everything, telling you to not do that. It really shouldn't be that hard to follow. Most people who go regularly, I would assume, don't have a problem with it. But I do think that maybe a movie like Wicked could bring out more, general audiences, more of an atypical audience, people that don't go out that often to the movie theaters. And then in my most charitable interpretation are maybe just kind of ignorant to how fucking rude they actually are being. Thankfully, this wasn't a movie that I wanted to go out and see. Otherwise, I would blow my brains out That just sounds awful, the idea of a bunch of people filming the screen and taking pictures. That happened, I think the last time I had a really bad situation with that was when I saw Evil Dead Rise. Like, the entire row in front of me was doing it, so it's like you can't even tell anybody to stop, because at that point you're unfortunately vastly in the minority, which fucking sucks, especially too, like, you don't want to hassle. You don't want to be hassled. Like, it sucks to confront people. It's not fun. But you have to evaluate whether it's worth it. You got to think about the money you paid for the ticket, and at what point are you just going to stew for 2 hours? Wicked is a 3-hour-long movie. That just sounds like a terrible thing to endure. It's very annoying. And it goes into my overall thoughts about, have movie theater goers gotten worse? And on one end, I do think that they actually have gotten significant worse. I think this is a COVID brain thing. People were used to being in their living rooms, playing on their phones while watching TV and movies and stuff during that time. And then they didn't really readjust coming out of it. And now they treat the theater like it's their living room. And they act like they don't have to be courteous of other people, which is just very annoying. But another end of it too, I think it is just generally that probably teenage-ish audience that are really annoying, are really obnoxious, just genuinely don't care about anybody else but themselves and their experience. Second time I was going to see Terrifier 3, actually, I remember seeing a group of teenagers walk into the theater, and I just rolled my eyes and I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be awful, isn't it? Thankfully, they either sat enough out of my eyesight to where they didn't bother me if they had the phones, or they were actually subverting my expectations and not going on their phones, which is a shocker. But whenever a group of teenagers walks into the theater, that's always like the biggest red flag to me. I'm like, oh no. I'm always sweating it. I'm worried about it, especially in horror movies. You know how they act. A movie like Wicked, I could totally see that same demographic of just really obnoxious teenagers not knowing how to act, filming the whole thing or taking pictures. But still though, even with that, even with some of that lack of awareness, some of these posts still just blow my mind. Like, there was literally a thread of people saying, post your Wicked pictures. Post your Wicked pictures? How about no? But I don't know. I just thought about it. I thought about whether audiences are getting worse, what this is. Does it speak to a larger thing going on? I'd like to hope that it's not. I have a little bit of faith left in the fact that some of these people did get bullied into deleting their posts. But those are just my thoughts. I just think it's the most annoying thing. It's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'd love to hear. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.